Again, just appreciate the opportunity, and thanks again to all my staff for the great work you're doing.
Well, those weren't the last words spoken by Branden Durst on his last day as superintendent of the West Bonner County School District. But after scouring the last night's 3.5-hour plus meeting, those might have been as close to a goodbye as the North Idaho community got from Mr. Durst. A meeting, by the way, he didn't bother to attend in person, but chose to drop in via a video feed. So the former Democratic state senator, the former Idaho Freedom Foundation staffer, the former candidate for state superintendent, is now the former West Bonner County superintendent after 3 tumultuous months, a little more than 3 months, actually. Quick recap. Back in June, the board picked Durst to run the district for $105,000 a year, despite not having the endorsement of the State Board of Education, despite not being qualified to earn that endorsement, and with the understanding Durst would get a State Board Emergency Provisional Certificate. Well, that didn't happen. After an August recall election ousted 2 trustees, both of whom backed Branden, the Idaho State Board of Education came to the conclusion it didn't have the power to grant such an emergency provisional certificate for administrators, leaving Durst unqualified and leaving the district subject to losing funding since, well, the state wouldn't pay his salary without that certification. Well, then 2 weeks later, on September 25th, Durst announced his resignation, saying his situation was marked by relentless obstacles thrown his way by those who wished to see him fail. He left his final day up to the board, but since September, the West Bonner County School Board has had to cancel or postpone 7 of their 10 scheduled meetings. A couple of those because of legal reasons, waiting for confirmation of that recall election, and several more because one of the remaining trustees, that'd be Troy Reinbold, just couldn't make it to the meetings, and they needed all 3 of them to be there for a quorum. So that finally happened last night. About 2.5 hours into that meeting, the board went into executive session to accept what everyone assumed was Durst's resignation, effective today. Then after another executive session, the board returned to say this.
Make a motion to appoint Joe Kren as the temporary interim Idaho certified and qualified superintendent for West Bonner County School District with a 90-day contract.
And the vote was unanimous. Did you catch that in the motion? What was said in that motion? Idaho certified and qualified superintendent. Okay, so who is Joe Kren? Well, he's the former principal of West Bonner's Lamana High School in Priest River. He retired in the spring of 2020 after 34 years as an educator. But back in 2016, he was actually named Idaho Association of School Administrators Superintendent of the Year when he worked for the St. Mary's School District. Then in May of 2021, in the midst of retirement, Kren was named a member of Janice McGeehan's Indoctrination Task Force, or the Task Force to Examine Indoctrination in Idaho Education. This was back when McGeehan was Idaho's lieutenant governor, and she was also running for governor. McGeehan tasked this task force with rooting out alleged teachings on social justice, critical race theory, socialism, communism, and Marxism from public schools. A task force that also included the likes of Anna Miller from the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Boise State professor Scott Yenner, he of the medicated, meddlesome, and quarrelsome fiasco, and Ryan Spoon, recently named leadership of Ada County's Republican Central Committee. A task force, by the way, that didn't root out anything, but did get McGeehan sued for not releasing public records and her asking taxpayers to pay for said lawsuit, which was denied by JFAC. Anyway, that's who is now in charge in West Bonner County, Joe Kren. Other than that brief appreciate the opportunity during last night's meeting, Durst didn't walk away without saying, or did walk away. No, he didn't. He did walk away, but he did say a bit more with this last night, late night tweet. Probably the thing I'm the most proud of in the last 4 months is getting the most conservative, comprehensive, and legally defensible gender bathroom and facilities policy in the state adopted. A policy that I personally wrote prior to starting as superintendent. Did you personally write that? Also, your 1-page policy, which passed in August, is more comprehensive and more legally defensible than the 3-page law passed by the Idaho legislature back in March, which is currently being legally defended. Sort of. We're going to have more on that in a moment. We did reach out to Branden Durst today to ask him about his truncated turn as school administrator and this claim of his proudest moment, but we've yet to hear back. But Branden let it be known, improvement in academics, fixing the budget, updating school facilities, those are not at the top of his list of accomplishments, probably because, well, those didn't happen. But an unnecessary policy of telling people where they can pee, that's what he wants his legacy to be.